bring down the best in the world. Or hit your lift on a pterodactyl. Get inside my razor cut. If you want to slash crash in monster hell or fry the demons with electric spells. If you want to be a SEGA nut, get yourself a cyber razor cut. To be this good takes ages, huh?
Hello and welcome to a short mini episode of Cyber Reviews. My name is Rory Jocelyn and I am the son of a gun who restored the footage that you're going to see at the end of this video. The music video style advert you've just seen is a simple upscale off of YouTube. Stay tuned to the end of the video to see the original advert actually fully restored. The music video version that you've just seen isn't the original advert. It was something I think they knocked together in post just for something a bit more edgy, but I do love the music. Cyber Razor Cut was a UK advert for the Sega Mega Drive released sometime between the end of 1991 and the beginning of 1992. Anyone who's unaware of a Mega Drive, it's this thing, this old 90s video game console. It was released in the late 80s, but we don't discuss such matters. It kickstarted a new marketing campaign by Sega that completely embraced a strong cyberpunk aesthetic, with their in-your-face marketing holding strong until the end of the Sega Saturn. In that 4-year lifespan, Sega created a myriad of adverts starring the cyborg barber, played by Steven O Donnell. Steven O Donnell was otherwise best known for his role in the UK comedy series Bottom, also another relatively edgy showing. In fact, had this campaign been released only a couple of decades later, there's no doubt that it would have been derided as trying to be too edgy. But it was the 90s. A young, yellow-coloured cartoon boy shouting, "Eat my shorts," was about that at the heart of 90s rebellion. And so all you needed was a few strong quotes like "Cyber Razor Punk, yeah!" and you had yourself a cool, fat, gnarly advert campaign. I'm cool, I'm down with the homeboys. Rasta. So there were a variation of follow-up adverts which starred several of the different characters that started in this particular advert. The cyborg barber himself was utilised mostly for Mega CD adverts, including a mini magazine show where he interviewed one of the actresses from the infamous Mega CD game Night Trap. The man also who requests the Cyber Razor Cut also appeared in a couple of other Mega Drive adverts, including one where the young kid from this advert tries to break into his gaming lair on the top of some cyberpunk rooftop and fails miserably because, you know, he's his sidekick, not his enemy. There was also another series of adverts as a follow-up to this, set in a desert, which included the cyborg barber and the guy who requests the Cyber Razor Cut, and the cyborg barber himself takes on a stereotypically American tone.
How do they do that?
The Sega Pirate TV adverts that came nearer the end of the Mega Drive's life also took inspiration from Max Headroom, specifically the signal hijacking crime that was never solved. In America, someone took over a TV station dressed in a Max Headroom mask and costume, and then later on a shot of him having his bare bum spanked for some reason. Nobody's ever figured that out. But that's a real crime, and I'm pretty certain the cyber TV thing that they did was based on that. Because of how edgy the advertising was, Sega seemed to not quite decimate, but they definitely knocked down Nintendo from their high horse, certainly within Europe and specifically in the UK. That was a move that was thought of impossible until that point, because Nintendo were just so hard at basically decimating the market with their brand name. Nintendo still won out over time in several other regions, such as Japan especially, but also just at the very end of it in the US. But there's no doubt that in Europe, Sega's marketing campaign was what built Mega Drive's popularity, and I'm pretty certain in the UK the Mega Drive actually won out over the SNES. Look at how pretty she is. Tell her she's pretty. Okay, so this isn't a Blu-ray, obviously. This is just an upload to YouTube in this video within Full HD. I might upload it again later in actual 4K because it has been restored into 4K. It was done by myself at Cyberpunk Studios, utilising a series of AI restoration software, colour grading, levelling, and also did some audio mastering to clean up some of the dialogue. This creates a far better image than standard upscaling techniques or basic remastering, because essentially the AI is rebuilding things like the faces on the fly and creates a lot more detail because of that. I actually got this video source off of Jeff Boyle, who was the director of photography for this advert. A link to his site will be in the description. I personally contacted him myself a couple of years ago asking about this advert, specifically trying to find out where the source material was, because it appears to have been filmed on CinemaFilm, something that he then confirmed. So there is the ability for a 35mm lossless sort of rescan if the film footage can be found. Sadly, on contacting him, he did let me know that he didn't keep the film reels. They were kept by the company that had hired him, and the company that had hired him has now gone defunct. So even though I tried to chase a few leads, I was unable to find out anything as to where the film reels may be. The likelihood is they've been binned, but even if they do exist, still somewhere in a private collection or something like that, their whereabouts at this moment are completely unknown. So this advert took about 4 or 5 days of restoration time for me to process all of the different frames. I did it frame by frame. It's never going to be a perfect replacement for the film negatives, as I say, but it is at least a far better copy, I believe, of what already exists. Now, while I can't really be impartial, because at the end of the day this is my work, I am quite proud of several shots throughout this restored advert. However, I can admit that there does, in fairness, seem to be several shots that have had little to no benefit at all, and maybe a little bit smoother so that they fit in better, but not a huge amount of restoration. The game footage also needs to be replaced, and I'll come to that in a little bit. Close-up and fine detail on facial shots are enhanced a lot. In fact, these are the things that had the biggest upcheck in detail, though the opening shot of the barber when they spin him around and he's lying on the chair, there is some flickering on his face where the AI seemed to chop and change from frame to frame whether or not it could detect his face. I don't fully understand why it could in some shots and not others, but that's just unfortunately the way it was. However, that's the only shot in there that I can see that happening in. Other shots, such as the opening shot and the shots of the customer hand, are also in softer detail because the AI focuses mostly on faces. However, they are still better resolved than they are from the standard definition being upscaled. The shots during the game footage, as I say, look horrific. The original upscale is blurry as all hell, so they are a little bit sharper than that, but unfortunately something that is true of any 90s recording of video game footage, they all look nasty. If you watched any sort of old 90s TV shows such as Games Master or Games World or anything like that, the way that those sources were recorded, they just didn't look good. This is something that looks better in the digital age, but still, there's a trade-off. However, sharpening them up has also introduced their own level of errors, such as it's tried to restore the face on the guy from Alien Storm for no solid reason. This is something that can easily be restored at a later date via simply re-recording the footage, trying to essentially get a game emulator or maybe a real Mega Drive via an OSSC, basically trying to emulate the shots, try and redo the shots again and just film them new. If anyone's interested in helping me do that, because I really don't have the time, please let me know and contact me on contact@cyberpunkstudios.co.uk. You can also obviously leave messages in the comments. The most complex shot that I had to fix was the final shot, where you have the spinning box arts going to the final sort of Mega Drive on the metal background. This took 24 hours. That was after the other restoration, just 24 hours by itself to do, as I couldn't find a special effect to imitate the spinning boxes. I had to recreate every single spinning box and animate it myself, frame by frame. As I say, I can't really be impartial as to my own work, so I'll let you guys be the judge. Feel free to leave a comment down below as to your thoughts on the restoration. I personally love seeing more detail from this classic commercial. For me, personally, having been a child of the 90s, born in 86, for me, it really is a massive blast from the past. So, for me, it's got that level of quality, but there's probably quite a lot of you asking why I bothered. So maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's because I'm a massive SEGA geek. You want to see the most 90s thing I own? Oh, the most 90s thing I own is this SEGA Mega Drive and Mega CD, all built in to an Iowa boombox. Is there anything more 90s than a Mega Drive Mega CD Iowa boombox? This comes from Japan. It's not in great nick, but it's one of the rarest Mega Drives ever made. point is while these adverts in their sort of almost ADHD flashing nature might have gotten annoying during the era that they were shown on TV, at the very least they are recorded at a much higher quality than the sort of you get when you try and watch a 3-minute YouTube video. Something of this quality would actually be a nice surprise to see someone actually put some effort in to an advert. Or perhaps I'm just looking at this with rose-tinted glasses. Perhaps the youth of today will grow up similarly pining for the days of
Raid Shadow Legends.
smearing itself across their iPads. And I'll be the old fart sitting there going,
Why do you even care? Go home, see your wife. Enjoy your wife.
I don't know why old people are so obsessed with wives. It's my skit, go away. But anyway, my point is there was a level of effort put into the set design, the filming techniques, using smoke effects, shooting through reflective surfaces, lighting details, all of this sort of stuff that make up a stunning piece of cyberpunk artwork. Even if that style was only used to push video games and a new wave of gnarly and rad kids, the original piece still speaks for itself. If anyone has any contacts who might know the whereabouts of the film reels behind these adverts, private collections, business, whatever it is, or have any behind the scenes information, then please do get in touch. You can contact us via our Facebook page, which is facebook.com/cyberpunkfilm, or you can at us at Twitter, and our Twitter is @cyberpunkfilm, or you can email us at contact@cyberpunkstudios.co.uk. Additional information will probably be uploaded onto the website if there's not enough to cover for a second video, and our website is again cyberpunkstudios.co.uk. Thank you so much for joining me, and as promised, here is the advert in full HD from the original 4K restored master. I'm hoping that once I get the replaced video game footage, I can then upload the thing in 4K so that the entire advert has the benefit of the additional resolution. But before I let you go, I just want to know, is it just me? Or would your boy Jim Sterling not be a perfect fit for the barber in like a remake of the Cyberpunk advert? Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Thank you guys for listening in to another week of this. It's hot on me head. Thank you very much for joining me, and I will see you guys next week for another film review.
Hey, you.
Now, sir.
Give me the Cyber Razor Cut.
A Cyber Razor Cut.
There are over 100 Mega Drive games. They get faster, they get harder. What are you going to do to keep up?
Next.
Give me the works.
To be this good takes sanctity.
Futs. I said what? Futs. Futs. Futs.